This is Support is Sexy, episode 536, with activist, athlete, and adventurer, Andia Winslow. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I bring you inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and lessons to help you take your business to the next level. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm so happy to have you here. You know, it just would not be the same without you. And today I am super excited to welcome our guest, Andia Winslow. And Andia and I have a wide-ranging conversation, but one of the things, actually two things that really jumped out at me. One, you'll hear us talk about golf a lot. Andia is a professional golf player, but she talks about why it's so important for women to know how to play golf. And I talk about in this episode my cousin Kim, who used to love to play golf and who used to talk about why she wanted to play because of the importance that we hear about a lot of deals being made on the golf course, et cetera, with the boys club, quote unquote boys club. Well, Andia highly supports that, and she gives really great reasons why that I never thought about before. So you'll hear us chat about that, something you might not have thought about, but also a quote that she says, "You can't be a part of any revolution unless you're well." We talked about the importance of wellness, especially for women, and Andia, when she said that quote, that really resonated with me. So many of us want to be a part of the revolution, whether that's change in our lives or change in the life of others, and we need to be well in order to do that. So I want you to make sure you listen out for that, and for all the reasons you need to know how to play golf that you may have never thought of. All right, so now without further ado, Andia Winslow. So Andia, thank you so much for joining us for an episode of Support is Sexy. I'm excited to chat with you.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Absolutely. So our first question, when did you first fall in love with entrepreneurship?
You know, it's interesting. I didn't really know that I was an entrepreneur until another woman actually told me that I was. And my collection of experiences and my resourcefulness and my ingenuity was entrepreneurship. And so I think after that, I realized, I'm a businesswoman, I'm an entrepreneur. And that was probably about 5 years ago.
What was the circumstance where this woman mentioned to you that you're an entrepreneur?
I was trying to raise funds necessary to compete professionally in golf. And I had many, many jobs. And she says, you're an entrepreneur. You're making it happen in, circumstances that are not ideal, but you're making it happen. You're learning skills that can be applied after you play golf or when you're trying to curry favor for new experiences and opportunities. And so I think redefining my hustle as entrepreneurship it empowered me actually, gave me this sense of pride and it gave me trajectory that was more defined.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you said about redefining it. I find one of the things I love about talking to so many women about their businesses or whatever they're creating is that we do get to define it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
Yeah. And I've had conversations where women have said similar, I don't think I'm an entrepreneur. And then you kind of talk through it and they're like, yeah, I guess, I am an entrepreneur. It looks different for all of us. And like you said, not feel like you're scrambling and hustling, you're creating something.
Right.
Absolutely. So tell us your background and where you grew up.
I grew up in Seattle, Washington. I was born in Alaska, which is a shocker for many people. But my family moved down to Seattle. I was raised there. Seattle is a very progressive place. It's a outdoorsy place. And I think I benefited from just being raised in a sense of adventure and wonderment at all times. We were hiking, we were biking, we were mountaineering, we were, in the lake, we were in the river. And I look back at childhood and think, man, I'm so lucky. I had an amazing childhood that was grounded in earth and natural things and important things, I think.
And it's so funny now you hear, or at least I've noticed, it's just more part of my consciousness now, the importance of being out in nature and getting grounded and having your feet in the grass and not being so focused on, being in city environments and that kind of thing, as far as giving yourself space to think and relax and open up. And you were raised like that in a way that so many of us are trying to, it seems, get back to now.
Yes, yes. I mean, there are longitudinal studies that show that being grounded in nature
Mm.
actually helps with mental health. It helps with spiritual health. It helps with innovation. And so I think that coupled with proper movement, those two things, the groundedness in nature and being physically active, can help people, I guess, achieve great things and help them stave off depression. It can help them recover from ailments, be they physical, mental, financial. There's so much power to the natural world. And I'm really just humbled and honored and happy that I grew up in that environment.
Yes, and that it sounds like you held on to it too.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes, I just finished or listening to, I love Audible, listening to Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. And he spoke in there also about studies that say just what you said about that it gives you so much space to think and mental and physical wellness. And so everyone get back to nature, even if it's a park, just a
Yeah,
patch of grass,
definitely.
right? It doesn't have
Patch of
to,
grass, a
yeah.
local park, regional park. I mean, really, to be honest, you look at nature and you think, why does this ecosystem work? It's because of its interconnectedness. So if you're trying to be a business person, an entrepreneur, you understand that all the principles there must be intersectionality between things. You cannot do things on your own. And so nature is a perfect example of that. I mean, the
Mm-hmm.
expanse is so great and it's infinite, and yet it all works because the pieces are working together. The ecosystem is sound. And that's what you need in business. That's what you need in life. And I think nature can really show us and teach us a lot of lessons.
Absolutely. Now, how would you describe yourself as a young person growing up in nature and having all of these experiences? What was a young Andia like?
Oh, young Andia she was wild.
Was she? Do
she was,
tell.
she was wild. And I mean wild in a good way. I mean, I was the adventure queen. I think my parents would always ask me in the morning, especially in the summers, what's your adventure going to be today, Andia? And that was kind of my mission. And I'm actually trying to relive or recreate that ethos now as an adult. I'm trying to channel age 12 Andia because age 12 Andia, she was fearless. She saw something, was curious about it. She asked questions of strangers and adults. She loved to collaborate with other people. She loved to paint outside the box. She loved to explore. She loved to take risks. And that's who I'm trying to be now.
Mhm.
So
Isn't it
I
crazy
just
how we
was,
get older and lose some of that?
yeah, definitely. Society,
Yeah.
makes you an Autobot in some ways. You must do this. You must do this way by this time. And it's very limiting. And I think that freedom is my ultimate goal now professionally, and as just like, as a human being in this time. I just want to be free, and freedom for me means experimentation. It means adventure. It means connecting with other human beings and living beings, and just exploring. That's what freedom means to me.
I was going to ask you, what does freedom mean to you? Lovely. Now, what would you say your aspirations were when you were younger for when you got older? Did you have an idea of what you wanted to quote unquote be when you grew up?
Originally, I wanted to be a vet, and then I realized that you have to deal with sadness, and I was like, oh no, I can't be crying at work all day saving
Mm.
animals, and so
Oh,
that was
if you
that.
don't save the animal, right?
Right. If you don't see the animal or animals are in pain, we can't have that. And then my grandfather was a Tuskegee Airman. So for a long time, I thought I'd be a pilot, but my vision was not great. So that went out the window. And I think really just growing up, I don't know that I thought I think I look back and I realized I probably lied. I probably told people, yeah, I want to be a lawyer. I want to do these things. But in reality, I don't think I knew. And
Mm-hmm.
as I grow into my current roles, I still don't think I know. I just think
Mm-hmm.
I think back to watching Pippi Longstocking actually, and she just ventured around town with her horse and her meeting friends, and I think that's what I wanted to be when I grew up, and that's kind of who I am now.
Like you
Just
said,
like
you're looking for a feeling more so than the thing, like an actual,
yes,
I want to do X. It's more about the way you want to feel as you're doing it.
yes, and that's probably why I've had so many different jobs and cobbled together the resources to do so many different things. Is that I'm looking for the feeling and this idea of collaboration and being part of a community. That's what I'm looking for, and challenge, newness.
Mm-hmm. So, what would you say are some of the things that are your highest priority now, as far as the kind of work or life that you're creating, business wise and otherwise?
Sure. So most important to me is my family. Being a caretaker for my family. I had a pretty, I wouldn't say traumatic, but profound experience a couple years ago. I was a caretaker for my grandfather who was terminally ill,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of solidified this idea of you are your blood, whether it's someone who's older or younger, and being a steward for your family is most important. And So that's most important to me, and friends as well. They become family. So creating spaces where I can be with my family, encourage my family, support my family financially, or just being there in person. That's most important to me. And then creating works for the community and creating things that will better those around me, be they my neighbors physically or folks around the world, creating systems for people to encourage people to live their best selves and be engaged in their own lives. And that's some of the work I've done with my fitness and wellness company, the Fit Cycle, just trying to get people to realize that they deserve to be healthy and well. That's important to me. So making a mark and leaving a legacy, just as people before me have, and just realizing that they dream me being here, and their sacrifices made it possible for me to live this very free and fun lifestyle. And I want to be able to do the same for other people.
Now, tell us more about the Fit Cycle and how you came about creating that.
Sure. So when I lived in Arizona prior to living in New York, I've bounced around a little bit. Now I'm in LA, but when I lived in Arizona, I lived near an Indian community. They used to call them reservations, but it's an Indian community that had the highest rate of type 2 diabetes in the world. Now, this is outside of a major metropolitan city, one of the fastest growing cities in the nation, Phoenix, Arizona. And I'm thinking, these are First Nation people. These people were here first, and yet they're dying of a disease. It's preventable and reversible, and this is unacceptable. So I was doing some volunteer work down there with some youth, and I started to make these fitness vignettes on my YouTube page showing folks how to use odd objects, untraditional workout equipment, and how to activate with little time, little money, little space to be healthy. And so those kind of went viral early on, kind of before social media in its truest sense now. Then when I moved to New York, I partnered with one of my best friends from college, Monique Walton, who was a filmmaker. And we created a more glossy, more storytelling-based version of these vignettes, and we call them wellness films. And we put them online, and they also went viral, basically showing folks, again, how are you able to be well in your own space, even if you don't have money, even if you don't have a gym membership, even if you don't have time, even if you are busy with your children. How do you engage in ways to make yourself healthy so that you can be around for your family, around for your community? Because, again, you deserve to be healthy and well. It's not just for rich folk. It's not just for folks who are fancy on Instagram. It's for everyone. And that's how the Fit Cycle got started.
Now, when you say that videos went viral, were you guys doing anything special to promote them, or was it just because they were so, powerful and obviously timely for people?
I think it's a combination of both. The promotion was big organizations saw them. American Heart Association, we kind of made one of the videos as a gift to the American Heart Association. We called it the subway workout or the en-route workout. And essentially I was working out on the subway. But again, it's not a traditional video like, do 10 reps of these bicep curls. It was me throughout my day. It was an actual story. So there was a visual element that was very colorful. We showed the sights of the city, the sounds of the city. It was musical. It was artful. We really made sure to incorporate culture in a fitness video. And that's something that no one had ever seen before. And so for that reason, they went viral because they were completely unique. And again, they were first of a kind. So American Heart Association picked them up, then Forbes and the New York Times and South by Southwest honored us for our innovation and resourcefulness. And so we felt like that was really important because we weren't trying to sell anything. We were just trying to get the word out to the people. You can't be part of any revolution unless you're well. And, for folks of color, especially women of color, we are in it for a big fight. And I feel sad when you hear about activists who are dying so young, or they've got hypertension and heart disease. These things, again, are preventable with proper education and self-care. So we really wanted to show that message and help keep people, especially mothers, well, because these are people who are rearing the next generation. And the next generation won't be as strong as they can if their mothers are not.
That's right. I wrote down that quote that you say, you can't be part of any revolution unless you're well.
It's true.
I think that's in life and what's going on now in just our world and just in your own life too. Any kind of change or any massive things you want to do and create in your life, it is difficult to do if you are not well, right?
Mm-hmm. I think Audre Lorde talked about political resistance and self-care. And it's really important to remember. You need to be well in order to sustain and be the greatest impact you can.
That's right. Now for you, sports and activities, obviously you talked about being outdoors, but sports in particular played an important role in your life growing up from what I read.
Yes.
So tell us about your first introduction to golf.
Yeah, golf is a game that folks don't usually equate with Black women.
Hmm.
But
There you go,
I
doing
was,
something different again. That's your style.
yes. So I, my parents heard about a golf camp at this golf course called Jefferson Park in Seattle, Washington. And they put me in camp. I did all kinds of activities, but something about golf was different. You know, it changed every day. You could never master it. So it's kind of the eternal challenge. And I said, man, I'm gonna get this. So I kind of become obsessed with it. And thankfully then I was introduced to a man by the name of Wilbert Ponder, who was a senior, and he started a golf club called the First State Golf Club. And basically what this club did is they were coming together in response to the lack of access for people of color, especially Black folks in the golf community. So Black people, there used to be a Caucasian only clause in golf. So Black folks were not allowed to play. They were not allowed to be on site at golf courses and golf tournaments unless they were in servitude roles. So they started this golf club as an affinity group to help folks come together and enjoy the game of golf, play the game of golf, and to support youngsters in growing in the game. So I was a direct recipient of that love. And as a result, I had free coaching and I just was able to watch elders play and mimic what they were doing. And that was a great foundation for my time in the game. And from there, I just played a high level junior golf. I was world ranked. I was recruited by, hundreds of colleges, and I played professionally as well. So the game has really introduced me to a lot of new experiences and travel and people. And I'm just so grateful.
Do you still play today?
I still play today. I also teach. And one of my really important tenets of my work is helping women, especially business women, understand that golf is for them. So I do a lot of Golf 101 introductory courses. I do celebrity appearances and charity work and teaching youngsters through senior citizens how to play, and also looking to maybe return to competition in the coming year. So I'm pretty excited.
Yes. Now you mentioned, especially letting women know that golf is for business women, know that golf is for them. Do you find that most of us don't consider it? I know I have a cousin, Kim, who loves playing golf, and she talks about how everyone says how many deals are made on the golf course and all of that. And you think it's all a myth, but people like this is where a lot of deals or just conversations or different conversations happen. And a lot of us are on the outside of that.
Oh, yes, most definitely. First, you got to think golf is a sport where when you're playing 18 holes, you've got 4.5 to 6 hours to spend quality time with someone. Mm-hmm. So imagine if you're not part of that conversation, if you're not there developing that network, then you're not going to be considered when they're thinking, who's my friend? Who do I want to work with? Who do I want to spend money on? Who do I want to sell my company to? You learn a lot about someone when you give them 4.5 to 6 hours of quality time of QT. So if you're not there, if you're not in the room, as it were, you are not going to be considered for that role. So even if it's a golf outing that's a scramble during the day and it's competitive with your coworkers, if you're not there, again, you're not considered part of the conversation. When they think about who do I want to align myself with and spend a lot of time with, because this deal is going to be all about intimacy, and they're not going to think of you because they don't know you exist. Number one, they're just not considering you as a friend. And I think that's the thing about golf. People get scared by the technical aspect of learning the game, and they forget about the most important part, which is the relationship building. In California, it's kind of funny. In California, they say the equivalent of golf is surfing, because you sit out there on the waves on your board next to the other surfer. And that may be true, but golf is still, I think, something that they should teach in business schools and law school for these up and coming professionals, and teaching them how deals are done and houses are sold and real estate is defined on the golf course. And you have to know how to play.
Interesting. So there is no, oh no, I don't play. When people ask, oh, we're going golfing this weekend. You want, oh no, I don't play golf. No. You're trying to eliminate that, especially for women.
Oh yeah. And even if you can't play, show up. You know what? I'm not going to play, but do you mind if I join you anyway? And then you can learn. And then you've got to take it on yourself. Like if your company's not, or your school's not giving you golf lessons, make an investment in yourself. And even if you're not athletic, understand the tenets of the game. Have good etiquette, because no one wants to play with someone who doesn't know proper etiquette. If you're bad at golf, but you're a great playing partner, no one's going to care about your skill level.
Oh, so it's not about we have to win, be on my team so we can win.
No. It's about, are you making this a fun 4.5 to 6 hours?
Right.
Are you a braggart? Are you someone who's a poor sport? Are you moody? If I see these things, I'm not going to want to do business with you, because I see that you can't handle stress. I see that you can't handle challenge. I see that you can't be resourceful. Golf is kind of like an art, and you can see someone's personality and their potential business practices on the course. And that's why it's so important for us to be out there.
Right. I love that. I'm inspired. I don't play, but I'm about to start.
Listen, when you come back to the States, we're going to get you right. We're going to get you a lesson.
Get me straight. Get me straightened out.
Yes, we're going to get you. We're going to start with you. It all starts
with me. Exactly. Now I'm not going to talk about my cousin anymore. She's obsessed.
Kim, Elayne is coming. Watch out.
That's right. Coming. I love that. I mean, like I said, we've all heard the discussions. Oh, all the deals are made on the golf, but the way you're explaining it, and I love what you said too, just for every woman listening. And I would say, and a few good men, if you don't play, but everyone listening, just to think about, even if you don't play, to be able to say, or to think to even say, well, can I still join you anyway? I'd love to learn, or whatever it is, just so you can still be there and be a part of that conversation.
Be in the room, the big room with no ceiling.
Right, exactly. So what would you say that you love most about golf? Obviously, the conversations and things that happen, but what is it that really you feel drew you to the sport?
I think it really is a part about not being able to master it. And the ethos of adventure. I mean, when I play, there's no telling what's going to happen. There's no telling. You will meet a challenge every, minute. And how will you master that challenge? How resourceful can you be? Can you visualize the outcome? It really incorporates all kinds of principles that I think they teach in school, and art school and business school. It's all about crafting a vision and then attempting to execute. And if things don't go your way, recovering. It's life. Golf is life. Golf is a language. Golf is an art. Golf is replicating life. And I think that's why I love it so, and I'll always love it.
Mm-hmm. Golf is life. I love that. Now, would you say that you've seen more women showing up and wanting to be interested in it just because of through your work now and making that part of the focus of the many things that you do?
Oh, most definitely. And I think social media has helped. I think what folks don't realize is the golf industry is dying in terms of you've got to introduce the game to new audiences. It's been historically restrictive and exclusive, but if you do that, when that population ages out or expires, then who's going to be there for the game? So I think there's been a big push from the golf manufacturers and other organizations to get more diverse audiences involved and to make it more exciting. I think a lot for women, I mean, this may be a stereotype, but I think the changing of the attire has made people more enticed because there are cute outfits now. Mm-hmm. There are outfits that are coordinated now. There are actually clothes made for us now. Mm-hmm. Instead of when I was younger wearing very petite men's clothing and looking like a little man. Women can actually be wearing clothes that were designed for them and their body type. So I think that's one barrier to entry that's no longer an issue. Mm-hmm. You can be out there and be comfortable and look fashionable, because let's say you have a bad day, but at least I look good though.
Right, exactly. You didn't play that well, but you feel good.
I feel good. The picture looks awesome, my friend,
Exactly.
So just, I guess, eliminating the barriers of entry have made more people intrigued. Tiger Woods obviously was a great steward for the game. And when he joined the game at the highest level, I mean, he changed the game. And so when he went away during his crisis recently, the numbers plummeted. And now that he's back and doing exciting things, I mean, the Players' Championship was just yesterday. He was birdieing like crazy, shot a 64. I mean, that's exciting. That's enticing. It draws people in. And I think that's what the sport needs. And that's what the industry is trying to do, is trying to make it more exciting and accessible to all kinds of people, regardless, again, of their economic status or their experience in the game. Just exciting people to take part, whether they be spectators or participants themselves.
Would you say that you're doing that overall, even outside of golf, but fitness overall with Fit Cycle, of trying to make it more enticing for people to want to work out or whatever, or have a lifestyle of wellness, as we talked about earlier?
Oh, most definitely. I think I've got to thank my parents and my family for that, basically instilling in me this idea of community. Mm-hmm. I love collaboration. Well, besides snacks and naps, collaboration is
I know it's
my favorite thing.
Try to sneak a nap before our phone call. It's like, I'm playing myself. Let me get up.
Listen, naps are glorious. And especially take a nap after you've eaten some snacks.
Yes,
oh, man.
Yeah. Here in Valencia, it's all about the siesta. I was like, I'm all with it.
That's why you don't want to leave.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Collaboration and just, we're here together. We will not survive. We will not thrive if we don't do it together. And I really I love community. I love building things with people, and I love people to be feeling their best, and be and sharing opportunities and breaking bread and you know so that's why I think fitness and golf and everything I do, it's all about moving the people towards their greatest selves. And I can't help it. It's not something that I'm like attempting to do. It's just who they bred me to be. It's just who I am. And I love it. I love seeing people happy. I love seeing people healthy. I love people breaking through and doing things they could never do before, whether that's hitting a great golf shot or learning how to do a cartwheel or encouraging their grandkids to be healthy with them. It's just how I was raised.
I love it. Now, how would you say that doing voiceover plays into everything you do? Is that just something because you do have a beautiful voice? Of course, I recognize beautiful voices. Would you say that's something that just sort of came about, or how did you get into the voiceover industry?
Voiceover, that was an interesting one. I was working and living in New York City, and I was on a mic coaching some runners for the marathon. And a woman in the class approached me after, and she said that she was an agent. She said, you've got a very interesting voice, and more than the voice, you have a really good way of telling stories. And that's what voiceover is commercially. So you should consider voiceover. And I thought, that's cute. I already have a job and 12 jobs. But she encouraged me to get lessons. And then my best friend purchased me a package of lessons, private lessons for my birthday. And I went, and the instructor said, listen, now you can recreate if you'd like to, but I'm going to encourage you to take this seriously because you may have a really fine future if you are directed in your efforts. And so I thought, okay, I can have a 13th job. That's cool. Right. It's New York City. Right. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm cobbling things together to make money. And so then I started auditioning and I started booking, and then I saw some of those checks and I was like, wait a second.
Right. You're like, yes, I will focus.
This stream of income is very significant. It's like a tributary that leads to glorious waterfalls at the end. Like I need to see about this. And then I started working for PBS, and that was a dream come true because I've always watched PBS growing up. And, I just was like, wait, how can this be that my favorite channel growing up is one of my first major gigs? And so I said, this is a sign, I'm going to listen. So I moved to Los Angeles, and I've been doing it full time for the last year and a half, 2 years. And it's been just really fulfilling. And I think what's great about voiceover is that it seems disparate from the other things that I do, but really when I'm a fitness instructor or a golfer, I'm using my voice to move people towards something, move your body. I'm directing traffic, right? But in voiceover, I'm moving consumers or philanthropists, or I'm moving people to buy or do or see or to think. So it's still a vector for action. And I'm just using my voice. It's kinetic storytelling still. It's just in a different form.
I was going to say storytelling is what resonated with me in both ways. It's kind of a common thread through everything that you do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What would you say has been the greatest challenge in your business today, and how are you overcoming it? So I know you speak about, for example, just having so many different things that you're balancing and going on. What would you say overall you feel like is a challenge that you're facing today?
As an entrepreneur who works for herself wholly, I think automation and processes and systems, I am not to say that I'm not organized, but I realize when you work in a cog and you're cog in the machine, you do one thing and then your other department does this and the other department does that. And so you can stay in your lane and stay focused. When you're an entrepreneur working for yourself, you're all the things. You're the administrator, you're the secretary, you're the financial advisor, you're the scheduler. And so since I have so many different jobs, I have to do all those things for every single job. So the work compounds itself. So I think being able to stay on task and stay focused, that's been a very big difficulty for me. And so actually this year, I'm finally hiring a team to help me stay on task.
We got to get you some support.
Yeah. And that's the key. Support is sexy.
That's right.
And I've been empowered to ask for help. I think for so long, I'm like, first I couldn't afford help. And so I had to learn how to code myself. I learned how to build a website myself before all these apps were around. I had to learn how to do everything myself because I couldn't afford it. Couldn't afford the services. But now I'm like, you can't make money unless you spend money. I mean, you can't make money unless you spend it. And I'm learning that and believing in that finally, and having a team to help me think things through or walk me back from things or seek out new opportunities. It's bringing on so many more opportunities. And I feel free again.
You're free. I love it. All about
so
support.
Sexy.
It's so sexy.
Oh no! I mean, I'm like, I wish you would have told me sooner.
Exactly. See, that's why we connected. Now you push me to play golf. I'll push you to get support.
I need support. And again, it's this whole thing about team that I think I keep preaching it, but I forgot. Like, yeah, you can't do all these things unless you have a team, A-Dub. And that's what I call myself, A-Dub. But you got to have team. Team is what makes the dream work, baby.
That's right. That's right. What would you say that entrepreneurship has taught you about yourself as a woman?
I think it's taught me that I really can do anything. And I think that just actually stems from childhood. My parents, they programmed me to think that I could do anything, and I believe them. Mm-hmm. And as a result, I'm doing a lot of different things. I go in a lot of different places, and I'm living in a way that people think, well, people like you don't do that, or we've never seen someone like you do that, or I've never seen anyone do that way. And it's because I think my parents were basically instilling in me entrepreneurial principles as a young person. I just didn't know what that was. And in discussions with them now, as I'm older, I'm like, hey, did y'all know? They're like, yeah, we knew.
We knew. That's part of the plan.
That was what we were doing. I'm like,
are they entrepreneurs too?
I would say yes and no. I think they come from a different time. And so for them, work is work. You know, you go to work, you do work. And I'm trying to get my mom especially to get out of that mindset, because my mom she's an educator, she's a professor, but she's also an artist, a brilliant artist. And I wish she would see that the art she makes is not just for art or function, but woman, have you heard of Etsy? Right. People, you would be a millionaire if you would just see the value in your work. People would buy. She can weave, she can bead, she can sculpt, she can paint. She's a masterful chef. Like, she can do all these things. People pay big money for this. She's like, oh no, it's just something I do. I'm like, but that skill is valued on the open market. It's the internet.
You may get a virtual assistant or someone just to set it up for her. Not you, because you have too much to do.
I got too much to do. So it's kind of sexy for my mom too. So I need to assemble a team for my mom, because I feel like I think people of that generation, they just think like, you go to work, you do the work, you get paid, you support your family. And I think they missed out on this wave of what's happening. And the thing about our parents' generation is they were true craftspeople. Not to say people are not craftspeople now in the younger set, but you notice they're lacking a lot of skills, or the quality is not as good, or it doesn't endure. Even if you look at clothing doesn't last, but clothing back then did, because it was about pride in what you were doing.
Yes, and you had to actually learn. You couldn't just watch a YouTube video and quickly, cut corners and make it look like whatever it's supposed to be.
Exactly. There was no glossy fake, tricks and filters. This was real, and they made mistakes and they learned from mistakes, and they didn't have money and they were resourceful. I value our parents' generation because, again, they were craftspeople for real, not just let me dabble, let me do something for IG. They really knew what they were doing. And look at buildings even. Look at the quality of buildings back in the day, and 1920s Art Deco and all these things. These buildings still stand and they're beautiful. And look what's happening now, these glass front buildings that fall apart in 7 years.
Exactly.
It's all about quality and pride and workmanship. And I think that we can learn a lot from previous generations.
So in closing, if you think over your life and career, and you had the chance to thank only one person whose support was critical to you personally or professionally, who would that be and what would you say?
That is a really hard question. Coming with a 1-2 punch. Oh, wow. Well, I would say my mom, for sure. I mean, because she was the one that, she carried me to term. I'm here. So for her, sure, but also just, she taught me about being resourceful. She taught me about the value of adventure, and she taught me about the value of persistence. And I would not be where I am without that. My parents, but specifically my mother, she was the one that asked me the question every day, what kind of adventure are you going on? And I'm still living that today. And that's my personal mission. What is the call to action? The call to action is action. And I learned that from my mother.
Beautiful. See, you answered that perfectly.
Go moms.
Go moms. Now, what are the ways that we can support you? Tell everyone your website or anything else you want us to know. Of course, I'll have links to everything, but just so people can hear it.
Sure. On social media, IG and Twitter, I'm at Andia Winslow, and Facebook, Andia Winslow, web andiawinslow.com and andiavoiceover.com. And in the streets, I'm all over the place. If you see me, say hey.
Say
Probably
hey.
Girl. Say hey, girl.
Love it. Girl with the golf clubs.
Yeah, girl with the golf clubs, or the unicycle, or whatever else I'm adventuring on that day. Just say hey.
Andia, thank you so much. This was so great to chat with you, finally connect with you. And now I'm honestly and truly inspired about golf. I am going to actually learn. I've been to a gosh, I can't even remember the name of it, where you just go swing. Driving range. I've been to I swear I'm athletic. I've been to a driving range before. And I remember, you know what I remember from it? My sides were killing me the next day. Because I probably was swinging all wild and crazy, right?
Oh, that torque. Yes. We're gonna bring it down. We're gonna get you sequenced. Next thing you know, you're gonna be hosting golf events,
right?
And golf to your offerings. It's gonna be great. When you get back to the States, let's connect. Or actually, I'll be in Europe in September. Maybe we'll connect there.
You will? Where? Do you know where?
Portugal, France, London, and and then Morocco and Tunisia. So maybe
I'll be in Morocco in December.
Oh shoot, we gotta talk offline.
We gotta talk offline. We playing golf in Morocco. Excellent.
Talk offline, talk in real life.
Exactly. Now, before you go, what's a parting piece of advice from you to our listeners about anything?
I've got two pieces of advice. One's a quote and one's a piece of advice.
Mm-hmm.
The first is a quote. I'll always be there when you fall. Floor. I always tell them, people are like, what?
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
My little cousin told me that joke, and I thought it was funny at first, but then I'm like, but it's so true. Like, right. You fall down, but the floor is there, and so just get back up. Like, you're not going any further.
Mm-hmm.
It's not some deep, dark cavern that you're going to continue falling in. You're going to fall. You might bruise your knee. You might scrape your elbow, but then get back up because the floor is still going to be there, right? So that's the first thing. The second is do the work. I think a lot of times folks, they want this, they want that, they want the accolades, they want the results of the success. But if you stay focused and committed to the work and the process of doing the work, those things can and will come. But that's where the real journey is, in doing the work and being committed and directed in your efforts and just stay in the course. You got to do the work. You got to do the work.
You got to do the work, and everything you do, right? You got to do the work. Thank you so much to Andia for that interview. Now, if you want to find out more about her fitness business, about everything else that she's up to, just go to supportissexy.com. Go to that search icon at the top and just type in Andia, ANDIA. Her show notes page will pop up with the links and the resources and all the ways to get in touch with her. And again, find out more about what she's up to. Because as you can hear, she is very busy. Supportissexy.com and just search Andia. Thank you so much for being here. You know I appreciate you. Until we chat again, I want you to always remember, support is sexy, and having it all doesn't mean doing it all alone. And I'll talk to you soon. Take care.